Let's lock in. Subriel Matias calls out Teofimo Lopez, Richardson Hitchens, and Liam Paro after his knockout victory of Roberto Ramirez. So, if you're not familiar with Roberto Ramirez, he's a solid fighter. He fought William Cepeda, the same William Cepeda who's fighting Tevin Farmer next weekend. And William Cepeda stopped Ramirez in the fifth round. So Subriel Matias upped the ante by stopping Ramirez in the second round. Now, at the end of the fight, they asked Subriel who he wanted to call out. He called out Teofimo Lopez, he called out Richardson Hitchens, and he called out Liam Paro. So I'm going to answer basically, do I think he deserves a shot at these fighters? My answer is going to be yes. He was on a knockout streak, and he wanted to fight T.O. There was issues with T.O. claiming he sent him a contract, but his hand was injured, whatever. That fight never came to fruition. However, Teofimo Lopez has said some things like Puerto Ricans are easy to beat, and they're so easy. So if they're so easy, T.O. doesn't have a fight lined up right now. What better fight than Subriel Matias? Subriel Matias is out there. He's coming off a second-round knockout victory, although I don't know how many people seen it, to be honest. It doesn't matter. He went out there. He got the job done, so why not? If you're looking for an opponent for Teofimo Lopez, I think Subriel is a big enough name, has enough fans that it would do better than the Claggett fight. It would do better than the Jermaine Ortiz fight. So why not Teofimo Lopez versus Subriel Matias? And Richardson Hitchens is now fighting Liam Paro. Richardson Hitchens was the mandatory for Subriel Matias. He never wanted to activate his mandatory status. He didn't want to fight Subriel. As soon as Subriel lost, he wants to fight Liam Paro. Now he's ready to activate. Now he's ready to fight. So Hitchens ducked Subriel. There's no better way to put it. He ducked Subriel. But now that Paro is won, Hitchens is ready to fight. Like I stated, it reminds me of when T.O. beat Vasily Lomachenko and became undisputed. And then he lost to George Kambosos because ego. He went out there trying to knock George Kambosos out. He had George Kambosos hurt in the first round, and then Kambosos landed a counter, dropped T.O., and from that point on, the fight changed. And then he took the belts from Teofimo Lopez. And as soon as George Kambosos beat Teofimo Lopez, everybody wanted a piece of George Kambosos. And it was actually Vasily who was going to hit the lottery, but due to the war in the Ukraine, Vasily had to step out. And that's when Devin was able to get the fight and beat George Kambosos to become undisputed champion. So, look, we've seen this in the sport of boxing. And so now Hitchens thinks he can come in and beat Paro and get the title. So do I think that Subriel deserves a shot? Yes, man. You know, I spoke about this before. When Anthony Joshua fights, Eddie Hearn makes sure that he has a rematch clause, even when he's not the champion. Going into the Daniel Dubois fight, Anthony Joshua had a rematch clause, although he's not the champion. And now it doesn't look like Anthony Joshua is going to activate that clause, but we'll see. Bivol loses to Beterbiev, and the first thing Eddie Hearn is doing is screaming he wants a rematch. When he signed Subriel Matias to Matchroom, he automatically gave him the pressure of fighting in front of the hometown fans. Instead of picking an opponent that could be a showcase, he picked someone who everyone knows is not an easy fight. Everyone in boxing circles, but not the casual fan. So now you put Subriel Matias in the ring with a really good fighter, but in a position where 90% of the people in the arena feel like he should win, probably even more than 90%. And the betting odds are overwhelmingly in favor of Subriel. So you put him in another tough position, similar to what you put Jerron Boots Ennis in last night. But you put him in a tough position where there's a lot of pressure to go out there and impress. And it's very hard to look good in those types of situations where the only way to impress is to have a perfect performance, or, you know, where good isn't good enough. Where good isn't going to be good enough, it's a bad situation. If good isn't good enough, it's always going to be a bad situation. And that's just the reality. So you put people in those positions, they're not going to perform well. But after that, it was almost like he discarded Subriel Matias. Subriel Matias said he would like a rematch. He didn't get a rematch. He's not even fighting on Matchroom anymore. And I don't know the nature of that split, but whether Eddie Hearn let him go or Subriel decided, I don't want to continue with you. If Subriel decided, I don't want to continue with you, it's because in his mind, he sees all the ways in which he wasn't a priority to Eddie Hearn. And Eddie Hearn has a history of losing really good fighters. Look at Frank Warren's stable. Frank Warren's stable of heavyweight fighters were most of them. I'm going to say all of them because that's not necessarily true, but a high percentage of Frank Warren's heavyweight stable were signed to Eddie Hearn at one point. Fabio Wardley was signed to him. I know that Jang was signed to him at one point. Joseph Parker was signed to him at one point. All these fighters were signed to him at one point, but he didn't prioritize them because he had AJ. But this is what I mean about the flaws in Eddie Hearn's game that I point out. But every time I point this type of stuff out, people look at me like, oh, you're some hater, just Eddie Hearn hater. Yo, but where have I been wrong? See, if I put Eddie Hearn's name in a video, people won't even click on it no more. All the Eddie Hearn riders, they won't even click on it anymore because they know. Also, I'll take that back. I'm also on YouTube jail, so I don't know if they see it. But anyways, just getting back to this. Subriel Matias is still a really good fighter. He has vulnerabilities, absolutely, but he's also a dangerous fighter offensively. That's what makes him a good fight. That's why he'd be a great matchup for Teofimo. Can Teofimo Lopez beat Subriel? Absolutely. Can he even knock out Subriel? Absolutely. But Subriel can overwhelm him. Subriel can knock him out too. That's what makes Subriel a good fight. That's what makes him someone you should be putting on these cards and someone you want to see fight. So what I'm hoping for is after this performance against Roberto Ramirez, stopping him in the second round. I'm hoping that other major promotional companies are looking at Subriel and saying, I can do something with him. Let me give him a realistic plan that values him, that values him whether he wins or loses, because Subriel is a viable asset. And you can't tell me that Subriel Matias and Bam Rodriguez on the same card out in Riyadh season wouldn't be a hell of a thing to see. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section about this fight. Would you like to see Subriel Matias get a shot at the winner of Hitchens, Paro? Although I don't know if Hitchens wins, Subriel's definitely not getting a shot. Would you like to see Subriel fight Teofimo Lopez? Let me know what you think. Or is Subriel done to you? Do you think there's no way Subriel could ever make it back to the top? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe. It's Caden. I'm out. Peace.